Before me, I have all the fixins that I need to make bath bombs because today we're making bath bombs, but not just any bath bombs. We are going to attempt a bath bomb cupcake. We're going to be attempting to make a bath bomb frosting today. We're also going to be attempting a hand-pressed bath bomb for the cupcake part of it, not the frosting part, the base part of it. And I'm going to be using a 3D 3-piece hand-pressed mold for that. So we're going to see whether or not my recipe does well with these kinds of molds. We know that it does well with the hybrid types of molds, but this is going to be new. We'll see. And of course there's going to be the frosting, which I've done only once before. I'm trying a different recipe today, so technically it's going to be a new experience. But first we're going to mix our dry ingredients. And when it comes to making bath bombs, I don't stray far from my original recipe. I'm a believer of simplicity, and if something works, just keep doing it. So that's kind of how I go about my formulations. And this first dry ingredient is baking soda. We're using Arm & Hammer baking soda. I hear that the brand makes a difference. Now to this baking soda, we are going to add some water and dye. The base cupcake is going to be a green color, a light green color. I think for this I'm going to use about half of their pink scoop, which I think is equivalent to 1/8 of a teaspoon. So 1/16 of a teaspoon of dye, I think that's what I'm using here. And then I'm going to just give this a stir until it's fully dispersed. Usually I would drop some really hot water in here, but I don't have access to that in my studio right now. We are working on that. It's just a regular room temperature distilled water in here. And then we're going to add this to our baking soda to prime it. Looking at it, I feel like this is too much. So maybe I'll add half. I have to be careful with my water amounts because I don't have a dehumidifier down here, and I'm working with some pretty humid Washington weather. So I'm just gonna take about that much, which is about half of the water that I put in there. And then we're gonna get this mixing in our stand mixer. While that is mixing, excuse the noise, I'm gonna mix my other dry ingredients. Cream of tartar for hardness. Some kaolin clay for a nice, luxurious feeling in the water, but it also adds some hardness to the bath bomb. SLSA for some foam. And this is really fine and kicks up in the air pretty easily, so you can wear a mask to make it more tolerable, but for me, it's okay if I step away a little bit. So these are our dry ingredients. I'm going to add that to the baking soda that's mixing over there. Next, I'm going to start measuring out my wet ingredients, starting with some shea butter. This is shea butter from Soap & More. I got a little sample of it when I visited the conference back in April. It seems so long ago now. And we're not going to use very much, literally just a tiny amount, like 1 gram in this recipe. And even though it's a tiny little bit, you still have to microwave it so we can completely melt it. So 30 seconds melted that shea butter to a liquid. Our next ingredient is some polysorbate 80. And we're just going to add that to our shea butter. Next we're adding some hemp seed oil. You can use any light oil for this. Next we're going to add some alcohol. I like to use 99% isopropyl alcohol. And for our fragrance oil, I'm using a fragrance oil from Bramble Berry's Winter Escape Fragrance Collection. Here is some footage of me unboxing that collection. Look at that. This is beautifully gift wrapped. We have the Winter Escape Fragrance Collection. Today is a high of 35 degrees Celsius. This is how much it is in Fahrenheit. So I'm not really thinking about winter right now, but if you own a soap business, then this is definitely something you should be thinking about. So this collection is coming at just the right time. Oh, look how festive. We have 4 fragrances: wild cranberry and aspen, pear prosecco, elderberry and evergreen, and maple almond. The first one we're gonna sniff, wild cranberry and aspen. Wow, that's very Christmassy. It's tart cranberry blended with evergreen. Crisp air, holly, cranberry, orange, juniper bark. And those scents definitely come through. I really, really like that one. Pear prosecco. I am a prosecco fan. I've smelled a few prosecco scents, but never pear prosecco. I think I'm gonna like this one. That is nice. I don't know if IKEA still sells this, but when I worked there, they sold a drink. It was like a carbonated juice, and there was a pear flavor, and this smells just like that. And we have notes of pear, pineapple, white oak, bubbles, violet, and musk. I don't know if I get Christmas though from pear prosecco. Next is elderberry and evergreen. Kale is a big pine fan, so I think he'll like this one. This has notes of pine needle, balsam, musk, elderberry, and fir cones. Oh, it smells just like a Christmas tree, but it's deeper. I think a lot of pine scents are very bright, uplifting, but this has some deeper tones to it, and I really like that. It's definitely masculine. Has smokiness in there. And last we have maple almond. This has caramelized sugar, praline, maple, almond, and vanilla. Now almond and vanilla are scents that are popular all year round. I'm expecting something very sweet and desserty. Oh, that is lovely. It smells a lot like oatmeal milk and honey. I was talking about this with somebody the other day, how we both don't really like maple flavored things because the scent of maple is so overpowering and it just takes over everything and it's too much. But this, it's in the background, which I like. Oh, this is wonderful. This is definitely a fall fragrance. I was really inspired by pear prosecco, which has notes of pear, pineapple, white oak, bubbles, violet, and musk. I am a huge pear fan. Oh, it smells so good. And I think this scent doesn't particularly scream Christmas, which is good because Christmas is kind of far away right now. It does have a nice, cozy autumn vibe to it, which is a big reason why I chose this fragrance oil. The pear prosecco also inspired this bath bomb's color scheme. Very similar to my last soap's color scheme, but I think I'm just feeling green right now. So we're gonna add these wet ingredients to the rest of our dry ingredients. And last but not least, we are going to be adding our citric acid. If you're struggling with bath bombs and you're not adding citric acid at the very end, it's probably why your bath bombs aren't working. This one step alone has improved so many bath bomb processes. If you take away one thing from this video, add your citric acid last. So this mixture has been mixing for a bit, and I just added the citric acid. So now we're going to wet the mixture with some water. And I like to start off with a couple of sprays, depending on how big the batch is. And we're going to test the wetness by squeezing some in our hand. And if it comes together like that, then it's good to go. So here is our bath bomb mix, a gorgeous shade of light apple green, which is exactly the color I was going for. We're going to clean off our mixer tool, put that aside, and transfer this into a larger bowl, because it just makes it easier to work with. As you can see, I am making a small batch of bath bombs today. We're not going too big, especially when it's a test batch. So to fill this mold, I'm going to just fill this loosely, pretty much. I'm not gonna pack it down at all. Just fill to the top like that. I've never worked with this mold before, so I don't know if I'm doing this correctly. And then you go to the top here and just press until it comes together. I think we're gonna go Yeah, let's go down. Twin molds, remove the sleeve like that. Twin mold it, we're just gonna tap. It's not coming off. We're gonna tap some more. We're gonna lift and you get this cupcake shape. Now to unmold it, we're gonna have to flip this guy over, which is gonna be tricky, but speed's your friend here. And that was kind of a fail, but he was sturdy enough to survive that. That's pretty much the cupcake base. And I'm gonna move him to the side so he can dry in peace over there. And we're gonna try that again. If you guys have worked with a mold like this and have a better unmolding technique, please let me know in the comments. To show you again, we are going to just fill loosely. We're not packing down at all. And then you take the top and then you just come together and light presses here. Then you up. We're gonna tap. You get a fun little cupcake shape like that. And to unmold, I'm gonna try putting it on my hand. Maybe that'll be better. And then lifting from the top and then sliding him onto the, oh gosh. Okay, I think that worked. Just gotta move a little bit faster, I think is the key here. Do you ever watch that movie Bridesmaids where she makes this elaborate cupcake just for herself and then she eats it? Kind of feel like that's what I'm doing here. Making some elaborate cupcakes, a tiny batch of them for me, maybe my nieces. Oh, okay, well that just fell right out. Well, I mean, he stayed together. I am okay with how these bath bombs are coming out. They're not coming out perfect, but they seem to be coming out okay. They're intact. That's really all I can hope for here. I once tried to make a pear soap a long time ago, and it ended in disaster. The fragrance oil seized up on me incredibly, which is so sad. I was filming it too. I was filming it as well, and I get messages a lot about people saying that ingredients are expensive. They're wasting a lot in their experimentation, and I don't know what else to tell them other than that's kind of the nature of it. You have to be willing to do some R&D, just like every other business, to see what works and what doesn't. Ugh. This is so precarious. Oh gosh. The trick is transferring this guy to his drying tray, which if he's gonna be like his other friends, it's not gonna go well. Oh gosh. Ah! We did it. 5 cupcakes. I'm gonna let these guys dry and we'll see how they do in the morning. And then that same day in the morning, I'm going to frost them. I don't want to frost these bath bombs wet because they're still pretty delicate. You don't want the weight of the frosting to compromise the integrity and structure of the bath bomb base. So let's get them hardened up so that they can support a whipped frosting topping. In the meantime, I'm going to make another component of this pear prosecco bath cupcake. We are going to top the bath bomb cupcakes with some adorable melt and pour soap balls. I have this mold from Bramble Berry that I've been dying to use, but could just not think of good projects for it until today. I'm gonna measure out these melt and pour blocks. The goal is to make 5, but if I make extras, that's fine. I'm okay with that. And what we're gonna do is melt this down so we can add our fragrance oil and mica. And to melt this down, we're simply going to zap it in the microwave. So here is our melted melt and pour. Melt and pour can take a specific percentage of additives, and that includes the fragrance oil. So make sure you're looking at how much extra stuff you can add to melt and pour, because if you add too much, it could leach out of the melt and pour, and you want your additives to be dispersed evenly. Some pear prosecco fragrance oil, and then some glitter gold mica from Berry. This is my favorite gold mica. And we are just going to stir that. I might add some copper ultra sparkle mica for an even nicer pop. That copper sparkle mica is so autumn to me. I want to use that in more of my products. Okay, so once that is all mixed together, we can pour it into our mold. Start in the middle. We need 5 balls. 2, 3. I think we're gonna make enough. Oh, that was too much. That was too much. I think I could make at least 6. Oh, well, that one was a little too much. We're okay with this. I'm okay with this. Let's hardening melt and pour. This was kind of a disaster. Oh gosh. Can I push that into this one? Be interesting to see what kind of melt and pour ball I get. So we're gonna let that set up. Should be pretty fast. I'm gonna tap this, get rid of some air bubbles. It's a good thing that I made extras in case they don't turn out great. Tomorrow's gonna be the frosting. This project is a multi-stage project. So don't take it on if you don't have a lot of time. But yeah, I will see you tomorrow. Show you the results of the soap balls. Hopefully my cupcake bases are still gonna be intact, and then we'll tackle the frosting. It is the next day, and I woke up to pouring rain. So when I saw that, when I saw the rain coming down, I thought, those bath bombs down there, I'm a little nervous. But it turns out I didn't have to worry, because these guys are pretty rock hard and they're pretty stable. They're a little warty from the humidity, but that's going to be covered up with some matte frosting, hopefully. You can see here at the bottom is where I pressed too hard, but other than that, the ridges are pretty good. It's a pretty solid bath bomb, and I'm pleased with how these turned out. They're not the main star of the show, so it's okay if they're a little bumpy, a little rough around the edges. And here are the melt and pour balls, which I'm excited to pop out and see. I woke up today with a sense of trepidation. I was really nervous, and I was kind of stalling coming down here to frost these bath bomb cupcakes. I think it'll be okay, but you never know when it's the first time doing something like this. I did try bath frosting before, but it was just one color. It was a dollop inside of a hollow. I was making those avocado bath bombs, if you guys remember last year. That was a lot of fun. I loved those bath bombs. So this is a whole new thing. I came up with this recipe by studying a bunch of them on YouTube, but the ingredients are very similar actually to a bath bomb, but it's just going to be a lot wetter. We're going to start with some baking soda. This is a bubble frosting, so when it crumbles under running tap water or running bath water, it's going to bubble up and create some nice bubbles in your bathtub. So to create that, I have some SLSA. Get all that powder kicking up. Next we have some cream of tartar to add hardness to this frosting. Cream of tartar is super dense. Surprising how heavy it is. Next we're gonna add some cornstarch. I mentioned in a previous video that it was really tough finding cornstarch in the grocery stores. Like super tough. A lot of you gave me some great suggestions on where to find it next time, so I'm going to hopefully be able to find it easier in the baking aisle. Next, we're gonna add some tapioca starch. And this helps with the frosting's texture, get it a little bit smoother. It's funny, I was able to find tapioca starch much easier than cornstarch, which is strange. So that was all of my dry ingredients. Now we're gonna move on to the wet ingredients. Before I do that, before I get started with the wet ingredients, I know this video is all over the place, but I told you I was nervous, so I'm a little unorganized right now. But before I do that, let me get all of the components of the bath bomb cupcake ready. Let's unmold these melt and pour soap balls. And I don't know if you can see it, but they have the littlest bit of sweat on top of them, and that's normal for melt and pour. So getting these out should be pretty easy. So you pull the silicone away from the soap, and then you just kind of stretch it, and hopefully they pop out. Okay, here comes one. Woo! Here is a melt and pour soap ball. That was kind of hard to pull out. You definitely want to wait until the melt and pour has completely solidified, otherwise you will for sure dent these guys. Popping them out is kind of like popping zits. You got it! Comes another one. Ugh, need a little bit of effort to really get it out of there. Need a little bit of wrist work. This is my first time working with melt and pour soap balls. See, this one's really stuck in there. Ooh, this is really tough. Ah, come on. Why is it so... Here we go. Here we go. Oh, there we go. And this middle one. This one should be easy. Yep. And then there was this one that I wasn't sure how it was gonna look. But this turned out pretty decently. Looks a little rough on one side, but smooth on the other side. Okay, now that I have the balls ready, I'm gonna put them aside and continue with the frosting. So back to my frosting. We're gonna start with Cocoa Middle Purple Betaine. Next we have glycerin. I'm gonna add a light oil. In this case, I'm using hemp seed oil. And because there are oils in this frosting as well as mica, we're gonna wanna use some polysorbate 80 to disperse that oil and mica in with the bath water. And last but not least, we're gonna be using our fragrance oil, Pear Prosecco. So now we're gonna take our wet ingredients and add them to our dry frosting ingredients. And you're gonna mix it carefully. We're gonna fold the dry ingredients into the wet ingredients. And after a bit, you should have a paste, soap frosting paste. And you want to do it slowly so that you don't kick up that SLSA, which is irritating to breathe in. And just keep stirring till it looks like all of the ingredients have come together. Check the bowl, the sides of the bowl, scrape everything down. There could be some dry ingredients in a pocket somewhere. And this is what you have. And you might be tempted to pipe this, but it's gonna start to set up on you pretty quickly. So the trick to keep it fluid long enough for us to be able to pipe it is to add some isopropyl alcohol to this. So I'm gonna split this up into two so that we can color one. Doing two colors might be ambitious, but we're gonna see if it works. I do like experimenting, as you guys know. I think that's two. I think those are even. Yep. One color we're going to leave white and the other one we're going to color. I'm going to use Shimmery Emerald Green Mica by Fizz Fairy. And I've used this in cold processed soap. With disastrous results, it morphs. It doesn't stay green in cold processed soap. So that's kind of sad. So it's turning my soap frosting into this really dark gray color. Wasn't expecting that. And I definitely don't think I like that. So I'm going to lighten that up with some green gold mica. Hopefully that will help with that. That'll be sad if it doesn't. Okay. Frosting is an interesting color. It's like a gray-green. Definitely not what I wanted. I don't know if I can get it to be the color that I want at this point. It's like a blue, like a bluish gray. Oh, well that sucks. Hold on a second. Maybe if I add just a little bit more green. I'm gonna try this Golden Shamrock mica by Fizz Berry. See if this can save the color. If you guys haven't noticed, I've been loving the green and gold color scheme lately. Okay, I don't know if that helped, but I think that's as green as we're gonna get here, unfortunately. Okay, it's not bad. It's not terrible, it's just not what I wanted. Kind of leave it to its own devices. The frosting starts to expand, which is interesting. Anywho, we're now going to add our alcohol to this to get it just a little bit fluid. Let's get this glittery by adding some white diamond mica to this. Sweet. There's that. We're gonna stir our gray-green, which is getting better actually as time goes on. Now we are going to prep our piping bag. We're gonna use a press and seal here. And we're going to put our frosting a straight line down the length of the press and seal. We're gonna press and seal this together. Seal off one end. Get this other end of the frosting burrito into our piping bag. Using this larger one from Fizz Berry. It's a reusable one, which is awesome. I'm just going to slide it in. And work rather quickly. And then we're gonna get our cupcakes. My soap balls are rolling everywhere. We're gonna start with a glob of frosting on the top of each cupcake. This is to test the stiffness of it. The stiffness is pretty good, so I'm going to just start frosting the top. So far so good, guys. Oh my goodness, this is awesome. I just frosted my first Bath Bomb cupcakes. But I'm not done. I have these cute balls that I need to put at the top. So let's go ahead and do that. First one. Oh my gosh, these are like setting up fast. Whoa. Definitely dallied a little too long there. Golden ball over there for you. Another golden ball for you. And then the last golden ball goes there for you. To finish these off, I'm gonna use my Peach Nectar Fizz Berry Bio Glitter that I helped to create. Beautiful, gorgeous. Okay, I am in love with these bath bomb cupcakes. Even though the green in the frosting isn't the shade I was going for, I still think it turned out pretty fantastic. It smells really, really good. And I know that the frosting is still wet and you're dying to see these guys in action and you want me to demo them. Don't worry, I definitely will in the next video, which I plan on that video being more of a casual vlog style of video. A lot of you guys have been missing the vlog, so that's coming back. And in that video, I'm gonna be demoing these guys, giving you an update on how they ended up drying. And I'm also probably gonna show you how I plan on packaging these guys, because that was a big question that someone asked me on my Patreon, was how do you package intricate products like this that are so delicate? So tune in for that video and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss it. The reason why I'm not showing you all of that in this video is because Kayla and I are actually going to go on a camping weekend trip for Labor Day weekend, which I'm really looking forward to. Haven't camped in so long. Also, big shout out to Bramble Berry who sent me their winter fragrance collection. If you want to find out more about that, there is a link down below, as well as a link to this amazing fragrance oil, Pear Prosecco, which I can't stop sniffing. I really, really like it. If you want the recipe and steps for these bath bomb cupcakes, you will of course find that on my Patreon, where not only are there over 100 recipes, but you have direct access to me where you can ask me a question and I will guarantee you an answer. Thank you to everyone who supports me on there. You guys rock, you know you do. And until the next video, keep smiling, keep being awesome, and I will see you in the next one. Bye guys.